Today we look at the best starting fives we can make up using every shoe brand out there. There's a couple though that I want to mention where we don't have 5 people from that brand, so we couldn't make a lineup, but I still want to mention what they are. Well, first let's get a quick word from our sponsor, Prize Picks, an innovative new form of fantasy that lets you compete by picking players over and unders for the night. So instead of competing with thousands of players all over the world, you're really just competing with yourself and your own knowledge and predictions. I've been playing almost every night for about 2 weeks now, and my total amount won is up to over $400. And the thing I've loved most so far about Prize Picks is it's designed to give you a super fair chance at winning. If you land exactly on the over-under, they still count it as a partial win instead of just taking your money. Or if you pick a player and they end up not playing for the night, they give you a full refund. So I'll take you through my picks for the night. So I always start off with points, and I look for players with an easy matchup or an easy game. And Blake Griffin, he's averaging about 5 points a game right now, so I think he'll get under that. LaMelo Ball's been averaging almost 20, so that's an easy pick. De'Aaron Fox is also averaging almost 20 points a game, so I think I'll pick him. Now for 3-pointers made, this is an easy one because Anthony Edwards has been on fire from 3 recently. So in that case, I'd pick the under for Blake Griffin, the over for LaMelo Ball, the over for De'Aaron Fox, and the over for Anthony Edwards. And I could go with power play for a chance to 10x my money, but I like to play it safe and stick to flex play because if I only get 3 right, I still win money. So these are my players for tonight, but if you like what you see and you want to give it a try, use my promo code SWEAT and the first link in the description to get a 100% deposit match of up to $100. And make sure to do it soon because they'll be running flash sales later this week in honor of Black Friday. Big thanks to Prize Picks. Now let's get back to it. With the companies that don't have 5 players to make a starting 5. Like the Chinese shoe company Peak, and we see these random Chinese companies show up every once in a while in the NBA, but right now Peak's barely there. They only have one singular player currently sponsored by them in the league, and that's Lou Williams. They've worked with Tony Parker and Andrew Wiggins in the past too, but we are only worried about right now, and currently it's kinda sad. By now the And One brand's almost extinct. It's way past its prime, and most up-and-coming players and fans don't even know the real story of what And One was. You rarely hear about them anymore, and I didn't even know NBA players still had brand deals with them. But the 3 that currently do are Fred VanVleet, Javon Carter, and Norman Powell. 2 solid players and a bench player. Actually, Fred VanVleet signed on in 2019 to become the new face of And One in what was an attempt to revive them, which is why they also brought Kevin Garnett in as creative director and global ambassador as well in 2018. But I think so far it's safe to say that plans have kind of been a flop. Then earlier this year, Norman signed on with them to be the other face of the brand, saying it was a huge dream of his, with him having always watched And One mixtapes as a kid. I mean, it's kinda easy to be the faces of a company when there's only 3 players signed with them, so they shouldn't get too excited. Now we level up a bit though with our next brand, New Balance, with Jamal Murray, DeJounte Murray, Darius Bazley, and Kawhi Leonard. And comment down below if I'm wrong here, but I always thought New Balance was like an old person shoe. I swear for a while there, anytime I saw a pair of New Balances, it was someone over 70 wearing them. I've had some people try and tell me that they're a hot shoe, but I'm not buying it. And based on my logic and the way I see the brand, the idea that Kawhi Leonard is the face of the brand in terms of basketball couldn't possibly be any more fitting. In terms of starting 5s though, we only have 4 guys, so it doesn't work, but if we had just one more player, no matter who it was, they actually would have made a really solid starting 5. Come and let me know if I'm missing out on something with New Balances though. But okay, now we get into the brands who actually have at least 5 players signed, so we can actually make starting 5s now. And I try to put these in somewhat of an order skill set wise and rank these going from worst to best, and that brings us to our first with Converse. For a while, the Converse brand completely went away in the NBA. They used to be one of the most popular. In the 60s, Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell both wore them for most of their careers. But then, when we started caring more about, our ankles and ankle support and the actual functionality of the shoes, they kind of went away. But recently they've adapted and made a comeback. So their 5 is DeAnthony Melton, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kelly Oubre, and Draymond Green, with Draymond being the most popular player signed on with Converse. Overall though, as a team, they may not have the most style, and they definitely have to play small ball with Draymond Green as their 6'5" center. But for our first official lineup, these guys aren't terrible. They'd probably be a below 500 NBA team though. Melton and Walker are young and upcoming, but aren't there yet. Shai in the backcourt would lead the way on offense, and he'd make a good pairing with Draymond Green, who adds no depth offensively. And Kelly Oubre is solid at times and not at others. For our next 5, we have a brand you may or may not have heard from. It's another Chinese brand, Ning. And they have some good players on their side, with a 5 that's made up of D'Angelo Russell, Frank Mason III, CJ McCollum, Jimmy Butler, and Udonis Haslem. So another small squad with 2 point guards, Jimmy Butler at power forward, then Udonis Haslem at center. Honestly, I don't know where all these centers are signing shoe deals. I also don't know if at this point Haslem's knees could make it to even halftime of an NBA game, but assuming they could, I kind of like what this team's got going on. They got some defense from Butler and some offense from himself, D'Angelo Russell, and CJ. And as a matter of fact, this is the brand that Dwayne Wade signed on with in the later part of his career. And it's clear a guy like Jimmy Butler signed with them to be the face of the company, being the best and most notable player signed on since Wade retired. While a guy like CJ McCollum chose the international shoe brand because he didn't want to just be another guy that a company signed. He wanted to have actual input and wanted to sign with someone that actually wanted wanted him. Plus, he said they have a market 4 to 5 times the size of the United States, so it worked. Switching over to a more popular brand, it brings us to Reebok. Now, Reebok's a real popular shoe, but not so much amongst elite level NBA players, at least not anymore. In the past, AI and Shaq were part of the brand, but today their 5 only comes out to Quinn Cook, Josh Richardson, Jeremy Grant, Montrezl Harrell, and Robert Williams. A good team offensively and defensively, and they have a real solid player at 4 out of the 5 positions, but no true star, which kinda complicates things. On the bright side though, most of these guys are excellent on both ends. I mean, Harrell's not the best defensively, and Williams isn't the best offensively, but in the front court that makes some good compliments. They got both ends of the floor covered everywhere, but let's not ignore the floor spacing. Richardson and Grant are good shooters, but the rest of these guys, not really at all. It's just weird with all these guys having signed on to these weird no-name brands, and all the players that would probably love to be the face of a company. It's pretty weird that Reebok doesn't really have one, but I think before too long someone will come in and do that for them. And speaking of that, that's what Klay Thompson chose to do with Anta. They were really a no-name shoe company at the time, but they offered him a good deal in 2014, and he took it so he could be their Michael Jordan. He knew it was going to be hard to get a signature shoe with Nike or Adidas, so he took the risk with Anta because he knew he'd have a ton of creative control and a ton of opportunities for their shoes. So he really started the trend, and now a lot of players that were in his similar position have signed on too. Guys like Alex Caruso, Klay himself, Jordan Hayward, James Wiseman, and Kevon Looney. So it seems like Klay got 2 of his teammates hooked up with them, and we had to have 2 centers because out of the 9 players with Anta, none of them were power forwards. It's surprising that these guys are so high up in the ranking though. I didn't expect Anta to actually bring in this good of a squad. You got lockdown defense in the backcourt, solid play in the front court, and a great first or second option in Gordon Hayward depending on who would be the go-to guy out of himself and Klay. For Puma, they originally started out specializing in soccer and track and field shoes, but recently have gained some traction in the world of basketball. And I don't know if this one's just me, but I've always hated all Puma shoes. I've never been a fan of any of them, including any worn by their 5 of LaMelo Ball, Marcus Smart, RJ Barrett, Marvin Bagley, and DeAndre Ayton. But with my opinion aside, if we were building a roster, this would be an impressive young core, you know, aside from Bagley. The rest though have bright futures, with none being brighter than LaMelo's. He's proving why he was taken 3rd overall, having a great year and playing a lot better than he was when he was a rookie. RJ Barrett's doing the same in his 3rd year, and while he's not yet playing like a superstar, he's definitely proving that he's going to be the cornerstone for the Knicks for a lot of years to come, with major improvements shooting the ball and defending it. Marcus Smart's already great in his role. There's no hope for Bagley, and while DeAndre Ayton's nowhere near a max player, he rounds out this lineup nicely. There's 5 guys that together would all be pretty good playoff team in either conference. Now next up is Under Armour, and we're still lacking some real talent even coming from the Under Armour brand, but at least we have some superstars now with Steph Curry, Seth Curry, Josh Jackson, Andre Iguodala, and Joel Embiid. So we got Steph and Seth on the same team to shoot the lights out on any team, Josh Jackson, who's a basketball player, Andre Iguodala, who will still be there for the occasional defense, and Joel Embiid to dominate down low. We're lacking with a bit of size on this one and a bit of defense, but there's definitely the offensive firepower and speed to make up for it. And just imagine how well a Curry duo and Embiid would pair up. He's already great with Seth, but adding Steph would give him all the spacing he'd need to dominate on his own. And from Curry's perspective, he's played with a lot of top tier players at every position, but never at center. We never seen just how well he'd perform if he had a top 2 center in the league to run pick and rolls with. You could only imagine how good this squad would be, but it gets even better with the Adidas brand, because that one gives us Damian Lillard, James Harden, Jaylen Brown, John Collins, and Brooke Lopez. Previously, for a long time, Derrick Rose had one of the most lucrative shoe deals ever with Adidas. John Wall had a big contract with them, but since then, Dame and Harden have been the faces. Lillard's been in most of the commercials, but Harden's got the big $200 million 13-year contract with them. But either way, both have talked greatly about the freedom that they've had with the brand, which I'm sure helped these other 3 make their decision to join as well. And because of Adidas' willingness to give out money and freedom to compete with other big shoe brands, it gives us an insane lineup. Lillard and Harden in the backcourt would obviously be the best backcourt in the league, but combined with the defense of Jaylen Brown and Brooke Lopez, they'd be set. Not even to mention how good of a combo James Harden and John Collins would be. And seeing that all 5 of these guys in some way or another have great chemistry is what makes this arguably the best lineup of the video. An even bigger shoe brand though, and one does compete and also has just as much talent under their umbrella, is the Jordan brand, led by Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, and Bam Adebayo. And we got 2 veteran leaders, 2 of the best young players in the game today, and an up-and-coming center who's more than exceeded expectations this year. So there's a whole lot of talent. They can all shoot, they can all spread the floor, they can all also get their own shot, but the problem is they're all also primary ball handlers. I know Chris and Beal could make it work, but Luka and Jason aren't so great playing off the ball, so it'd be interesting to see how these guys would really all work together. All I do know though is Bam Adebayo would be getting a ton of open looks. Then finally, our best lineup of the video, and by far the biggest shoe brand in the game today, is Nike, who is worn by 67% of NBA players, as compared to Jordan and Adidas, who have 9.7 and 9% by current day players. 67% is insane, but it makes sense. A lot of players in the league don't care about working with the brand or having their own signature shoes. A lot of these guys just care about getting paid, so they go where the most money is, and that's Nike. And having that money has helped them sign Kyrie Irving, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Giannis, and Nikola Jokic. I mean, what is there even to say at this point? Kyrie Irving, a top 5 point guard when vaccinated. Devin Booker, easily a top 5 shooting guard. Durant, the best player in the game. Giannis, the best power forward, and Jokic, the best center. So it's safe to say Nike's done a great job of signing the best of the best. Not even to mention they still have LeBron, Anthony Davis, along with many others. Did anything surprise you? Comment down below and let me know.